Welcome back, you guys. I'm FC. This is Blue Lines TV, and today I'm bringing you guys a talking points video. They are going to be on Mason Mount and what is his best role to play in the team. Is he better as a number 10 or a number 8? And to end things, I want to talk all things youth. We've just signed a young, talented Finnish player. We've just signed a talented 15-year-old from Wimbledon as well. I'm really liking this direction that our academy are going down. It's interesting to talk about, and of course you guys can hear my thoughts and opinions later on in today's video. So if you do like today's video, smash that like button, help me get over 1,500 likes, and on that point we get straight into things, starting with the first talking point, and that's in regards to Mason Mount. Now, throughout the season, I feel like Mason Mount has been unfairly critiqued and at times unfairly abused. Now, I completely understand why. You know, in the Premier League in particular, a lot of times when we see players playing in the number 10 role, we automatically think of the connotations behind playing as a number 10. You know, if you're playing as a 10, you need to have creativity. You need to be standing out. You need to make things happen. You need to take responsibility and accountability in games. And these were all the characteristics that we weren't able to see with Mason Mount at the start of this season. At times, Mason was looking a bit passive in the game. At times, he wasn't as involved as much. And the few times that he did get the ball, well, his quality wasn't always of the highest level. So whose fault is it? Is it Mason Mount? Is it Frank Lampard for how he's using him? It's been the major criticism that Mason Mount has received throughout the season. And one thing that I've consistently tried to teach is that Mason Mount is not actually playing as the typical number 10. Now, we need to understand the difference between position and role. You can play in certain positions that are previously occupied by your 10s or your fullbacks, etc, but it's how you play once you're in those positions. We have to see Mason Mount as a space investigator. In that sense, players like Thomas Müller is a prime example of the type of characteristics and play that Lampard wants from a player playing in the number 10 position. As I've tried to stress, we haven't seen everything that Mason Mount is capable of. You know, I've been watching this guy since he was playing in the academies. I've seen clips of his loans at Vitesse. I've seen some games when he was playing for Derby last season. And throughout those seasons, Mason played in many different roles and many different positions. At Vitesse, he used to play down the left-hand side where he got double digits for goals and assists. At Derby, he played more as a number 8 in midfield, and this season, Lampard has tested his 4-2-3-1. I feel like this is a formation that we might see more of for next season because this formation relies on a lot of speed on the transition, and to play in a style like this, then you want your number 10 to be more like a Thomas Müller, someone that plays a withdrawn role, someone that looks great overloads by using his great match intelligence, etc. But unfortunately, when you play in certain roles like this, you need a lot of experience. I mean, think about it like this, you guys. We know that Mason Mount playing in that role is not going to touch the ball as much. So this means that whenever he does get the ball or has an opportunity on goal, he needs to have the maximum amount of quality possible. Now, is this something you can realistically expect from a 20 to 21-year-old? I don't think so. And as I've said, I think Mason should play in a deeper role. Now, unsurprisingly, Mason himself has already said this himself earlier this week, and it makes a lot more sense, you guys, because playing as a number 8, it means that Mason has more options. He has more players to link with. He can affect the play from deep. He has the space to turn on the half turn. You know, he can run into channels. You know, he has the attacking freedom and license in that sense. Look at his game over the past 5 weeks. I mean, Mason has not played as the shadow striker, the Thomas Müller role. He's played as a traditional number 10 in a 3-4-3 system. He has played as an 8 as well in our games versus Liverpool and Everton. And look at the massive difference in quality that you see from Mason depending on the role he's playing. I'm going to sound really harsh, you guys, but you know, to everyone that really had so much confidence to just dismiss him and write him off, as I've been saying all the time, that wasn't a correct opinion, that wasn't factual. And that opinion mainly came from judging him only and solely from this season. And when you do that, it means that you don't get the full picture, the full context, the full perspective. And if you don't get these things, then how can you feel confident with with a definitive answer. I don't see how it works. For me, Lampard has to continue to use Mason as a number 8. I think it's having a great effect on many players. I mean, for example, Ross Barkley, since he's playing in a midfield 3 alongside Mason, you're seeing a completely different player. And maybe this tells us that Mason's long-term future could potentially be in midfield. If you're asking me, I think he's going to be a player that's going to be playing in multiple positions throughout his entire career. That's really exciting, and it really sums up why he's such a talented and valued asset by this club. Now we move on to the second talking point, and I want to talk about the club's transfer strategy when it comes to signing young players for the academy. You know, recently we've been in the markets again. Today we did sign a young 15-year-old from AFC Wimbledon's academy. His name is Leo Castledine, and he signs after we recently captured a young Finnish sensation, Jimi tauriainen, a young attacking player that has a left foot that plays down the right hand side, but can also play multiple positions as well. The typical player for the academy. Is really starting to give us an indication for the club's long-term planning and for the future. I've heard a lot of big things about our current youth group, your Lewis Bates, your Liveramentos, your Pert Harrises, so many. I've been hearing big things for a while that the under-16 group could be one of the best ones to come out from the club for a very long time. And that's absolutely crazy to think about because, you know, most of the guys in the first team now are from other age groups from the academy. I mean, you're looking at your Reeses, your Masons, your Hudsons, etc, etc. It's crazy to think that there could be a young, up-and-coming age group that has the potential to be better. You know, this is what I really like about the club's academy. I've always felt like, for so many years, and I've said it on this channel for years, that our academy feels like an alien entity to the rest of the club. You know, it's too well organized, the structure is too good, the planning is too good, the scouting, the coaching, all these factors worked amazingly well. And when you're going through the list and every single criteria is being met, then it has to get you thinking, okay, how can we replicate this from the youth team and move it into the first team model? One thing that our youth academy did do was signing the very best players they can sign if they don't have players for those positions. And I think that's something that we're finally introducing to the first team. But anyway, you guys, the most interesting thing about some of the young guys we've signed is that most of them have come from the Scandinavian region. Now, this has been an area that we haven't really seen too much investment in. You know, at times we have got players from these regions, you know, a few young players from Switzerland. I remember a guy called Jonas Elmer from years ago, a few players from Sweden as well. But since then, we're really taking a strong and active interest in that region, and it makes a lot of sense, you guys, because now, for the first time I've ever seen, Scandinavian countries are producing some very young, exciting, potential top-class players for the future. Look at the players coming out from Norway. I mean, they've never had players like Haaland, Odegaard, Sunderberg. Look at Sweden too with Kovaleski and Isaac. Austria too are producing talents, and it seems like the whole football structure in these areas and regions has really improved and really got higher. And being the great club we are that looks for trends and looks to be competing first, it seems like we got first dibs on some of Scandinavia's best young talent. I mean, last season we signed guys like Tierney Ballo. We signed guys like our massive goalkeeper, Lucas Bergstrom, and this season we've signed some very exciting players in Fiabema, the young Norwegian striker, Andersson from Sweden, and tauriainen from Finland. You can't help but not see the parallels between how we scoured Belgium to sign the very best players. I mean, imagine by the time that the Belgian region was getting a lot more interest, we already signed Hazard, Lukaku, De Bruyne, and Courtois. 4 world-class players, the 4 best Belgian players as well, and you're just thinking to yourself, hopefully this time, this is the time at the club right now where young talent like this finally have the perfect environment to grow, showcase their talents, improve, and potentially become key members for the first team. It's crazy to think that we're adding talents like this alongside your Lewis Bates, your Liveramentos, your Pert Harrises, so many top young players that this club keeps on producing. You know what, maybe I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself, but if you're asking me, it's not going to be a surprise for an entire first team one day to consist entirely of academy grads. I really think that this could be a real future that does happen one time. I'm not saying that our first team throughout the entire season is only going to consist of academy grads, but I'm saying that times throughout a season, let's say you have injuries or whatever, or even subs, I would not be surprised to see at least one game fielded entirely by academy grads. Things are looking really exciting. The club have really stepped up their scouting region in those areas as well. I'm hearing a lot of positive things behind the scenes, and hopefully, just hopefully, sometime this month where we can be educated on the club scouting process even more. So stay tuned for that, you guys. And on that point, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys later with some more videos.